guys, it's Mike, your host of Craft Beer Storm. How are you? I have a cold, so forgive me. But we're going to keep going forward, and we're going to bring you a special guest, like we do every Monday. We interview somebody in the industry, 360. And by the way, if you like our podcast, go on to iTunes, give us a rating, give us a review. That's the only way we get up in rankings. Tell a friend, tell 10 friends. That's the only way we get up and, get out there. They just have these algorithms and they see that more people download, subscribe to our podcast, get downloads. Last month we had the most downloads ever, which is cool. And we're going to keep going. And today we have Danella Soeka. She's the creative commander, she calls herself, of On-Tap branding, and it's very important, branding beer. There's so much competition now because there's like 7,500 breweries, right? And in your neighborhood, there's a bunch of breweries, so you got to stand out. So branding is important. We're all collaborative in the industry, but still it's a business, so you have to stand out. Okay, so we had a good conversation with her, and here we go. And we're here with Danella Soeka. She's the creative commander of On-Tap branding. How you doing, Danella?
I'm doing good. How are you, sir?
I'm okay. I met you at the GABF a couple weeks ago, right? I don't know. It was like a month ago, man.
Hanging out at the heavy metal booth.
At the heavy metal booth where they put on past winners. They just got beer from past winners and they put it on so you can enjoy it, if you didn't get a chance to do it in the past. And then I bumped into you, and then there was someone else I bumped into that worked for you. You had her on
Casey Bill is part of the lovingly call themselves the Geek Squad, that sort of the beer geek squad that works that booth. And she was pouring there, and got to chat to you that day. She's on staff as my staff writer. The breweries have so many great stories, and one thing we like to do is to capture some of those, that we share on our website and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, we had her on a couple of sound bites about the heavy metal booth, but then I talked to you and you said you're doing a lot of work with breweries. So tell me about On-Tap branding, like where you came from, why'd you start it, and where you're going.
Oh boy. Okay. Well, I come from about 2 decades of marketing and branding experience in the hospitality industry. Started with the opening or rebranding of 4 casino hotels and restaurants back in the Chicago, Northwest Indiana area. Mm-hmm. And they love to acquire each other, rebranding all the time. So that entailed everything from matchbooks and employee uniforms to major billboard campaigns and sort of everything that was in between. Even though I was born in that area, I grew up in Colorado Springs, and my heart just never left Colorado. So after I relocated back to the Chicago area, it was always my goal to get back this way. So came out for a director of marketing position with a science education company that didn't quite play out. So here I was, picked up all my roots, sole source of income, and everybody told me you should start your own thing. I've been doing it a long time, and that's a little scary when your whole network is 1,200 miles away, but that's what I did. And I started out helping just small business owners in general, and little by little found out that more and more of those were breweries, and kind of started the On-Tap branding arm of my company, and I'm just having a blast. They're just an incredible group of people to work with.
That's great. Yeah, I know brewers are awesome. Like anytime you talk to them, they're just very nice people, very humble people. It's just hardworking, really good people. Yeah,
they're just passionate, and it shocked me the most at how collaborative they are with each other, and how they really, really want each other to succeed. Right. Coming from a very competitive industry like, the casino world, where everything is kept very close and very tight, these guys, they share everything. I was doing a first anniversary event for one of the breweries, and another one sent me like a 4-page spreadsheet. We didn't have enough porta potties. Make sure you get this license. Make sure you do this and that. And I was like, is this for real? So it's just very refreshing. And they share different tips and trades, and, it's an industry that wants to just do well as an industry, and it's very nice,
To support each other, it's great. And that's what turned me on to the industry too. And I started the brewery here in Portsmouth. I'm a CPA, I'm an auditor, right? Usually that's like nobody wants to talk to you, or in that industry they're all like, cutthroat, and I'm like, this is like stupid. And then I got into the brewing, and then I met brewers. I'm like, these guys are awesome.
They really, really are.
That's what I did. I started the brewery, and we developed a brand. But I mean, branding is very important, I guess. You got to get the brand out there, get the word out there that you exist. And what would you say for a brand like a brewery? What should they focus in on?
Well, I know it's really hard when you're starting a business. I mean, I've launched 2 of my own. I've done a lot of different startups, but on a small business level. You're bleeding money from the beginning. It's just really hard from, just the paperwork side of things, getting set up as a business. Most of them aren't moving right into a ready to go type of environment or, a venue. So there's architecture work that needs to be done, real estate stuff. So it's costly, needless to say, to start a business. So a lot of them don't spend the money and the energy in their brand in the beginning thinking, we're just going to get the doors open. We just don't have the money. I mean, I must have heard my niece did my website more times than I can even tell you. And I totally understand that. But, when it comes to the recognition and the, getting your word out there and the SEO and all that other stuff, having a good website to start out is very important. Making sure that, your brand identity is consistent. It doesn't have to be fancy and elaborate, but it should be consistent, whether it be your colors, your messaging. A lot of times I'll come on board and first thing I do with everybody is like, let's sit down and see what you have going on right now. Maybe your message is confusing. Maybe your brand is inconsistent throughout, your logo should always be the same. Those sorts of things that your value proposition and what you offer as a company to people is something that you're talking about, because the other thing about this industry is just how passionate they are. A lot of them have sunk their life savings and everything into this, and they truly love what they're doing. So, they should talk about that, and it's important to do.
Oh yeah, I mean, I know that.
Say, try to get it right from the get-go. I mean, I understand it's not always possible, and if it can't, you need to kind of revisit everything, a couple years in, if possible, you need to. And I've done that too. I've sat down with breweries who have already launched, and just sort of revisited where they're at, and we'll make some tweaks or maybe redevelop their site or their brand, whatever that might mean.
Right. I mean, it's important. Also, the marketing aspect, and it's tough for small breweries to get known. I mean,
it is.
I mean, even me, I was here for 5 years. They're like, and people come in like, "Oh, when did you open up?" I'm like 4.5 years ago. Oh my God, we're right up the street. I'm like, that's great. I really appreciate that.
I've been to your neck of the woods.
It's like unbelievable, but. There's also a lot of more competition, too. I mean, it's 7,500 breweries in the U.S., and it's growing. I mean, they're predicting like 10,000, I think, next year or something like that. It's some ridiculous number.
Over 400 alone in Colorado, which is the other big, it's also the hardest part. I've worked with a recent client of mine who said, when they first launched, they actually saw, a 50% increase year over year. And now you'd be lucky to see, 10%, 5%, 5 to 10%. So it's just getting harder and harder, like you said, to get that recognition and in a sea of a whole lot of other folks that are doing the same thing. And you also got to find what makes you unique, which is kind of what I try to do also, is what separates you from the guy down the corner, that sort of a thing.
Absolutely. It's got to be something unique, and they have to keep evolving, because everybody wants to come in and try the new thing.
Oh,
what do you
totally
got that's new? What do you got that's new? I'm like, wow. We took this stout and I infused hot peppers in it. Oh, that's awesome. Let me have some. And then next week, I got this stout and I infused Oreos in it. Oh my God, let me have some. So you just gotta kind of play around with beer and infuse different things, try different things. People like it. They like to try the new thing. But it's also, it affects the brewers too, because they're like, oh my God, like when is this going to end? We're making really good beer, and but people always like the new thing.
Is important too, So, I mean, you sort of hit the nail on the head where people are very interested in, trying what's new, what's hot, being able to say that they've tried all these different kind of breweries, but it really sort of evades that brand loyalty and that attention to quality. The challenge lies in making sure that, the breweries are continuing to put out things that are new, and that are interesting, to those folks that are trying other stuff, so they don't get boring. But you also want to make sure that you're listening to, what your favorites are, a lot of the flagship kind of beers that keep your regulars coming in. So, the other thing that I work hard on, just because I've done it with the brewery industry, is creating loyalty programs where if everybody, down the street sort of has the same type of thing, why should they come to you? So that was sort of the challenge with the casino industry. Everyone's got a slot machine and a table game. So creating those levels of loyalty, and the benefits of being part of your business is something we look at too.
Yeah, like a mug club or something like that,
Yeah.
Just keep people coming in.
Totally. And I've also tried to incorporate sort of an education piece, even though, people are just trying a lot of different things for the flavor. There's a lot, consumers are very interested in learning about, the beer that they're drinking. So having some sort of brewer spotlights where folks could come in and maybe learn a little bit more about a beer before it's launched, what's included in it, the process for making it, if there's something unique and different about it. And I think this is where the difference comes in with sort of like your big beer versus your craft beer companies is it's that added flavor. It's that, it's sort of that attention to the craftsmanship, which is what, small businesses are pretty much all about. So you're not going to get that same consistent taste and zero flaws like you do with some of the, the big beers, but that's what makes the craft beers unique.
Well, they have passion in it, and it's the inefficiency makes it great. I guess that's what it is. The big breweries are just like machines, crank it out. They have fantastic quality control, because they have to produce a load of beer, and they got to make sure that stuff is on target.
Right.
But the smaller breweries can pivot too, and trends come and go, and
oh gosh,
these larger breweries, have trouble keeping up, but smaller breweries can kind of pivot quickly and make a stout. Everybody's nuts about stout. Everybody's nuts about sour. Everybody wants an IPA. Everybody wants a brut. Yeah. It depends.
Seltzers are really big now too. So that seems to be.
Oh, the seltzer.
Yes,
it's crazy. The hard seltzer. Yeah, I keep talking about them because they keep popping up. I mean. White Claw is killing it. It's ridiculous. 200% increase from last year. Hard seltzer. It's 3 times.
I did a brewery tour, Coors distribution center tour with the Pink Boots Society. Actually, our Denver chapter did a tour over there, and just pallets of White Claw, and they were just talking about how they couldn't believe it themselves that just the way that it took off. And I think a lot of your female demographic is looking for something that's maybe a little bit lighter, sort of a little zestier too.
Yeah, a lot of women are drinking. I think men or too are gravitating towards it as well. But
oh yeah,
but it's a trend, right? And you got to jump on it. Sam Adams did it too. Boston Beer Company has it. So I think they have 15%. White Claw is like 65% or 60%. But other breweries are just cranking it out. They're like, wow, let's get into this. So they jump on the bandwagon, and now they do hard seltzers. That's the way it is. You just got to go with the flow and look at the trends and jump on. And
yes,
it's like a wave. You got to surf the wave, the current wave. But now, yeah, the Pink Boots. I mean, how did you get into that? Because I interviewed somebody from the Pink Boots Society. I think it was in Oregon. She had a chapter there. But tell me more about Pink Boots.
Yeah, it's I actually just came on board fairly recently, and during GABF, they had the big annual meeting, and the Today Show, the morning show, actually came out and just taped it, and recently had all that that they shared. So that was really, really exciting. And there was brewery owners that had kept encouraging me, you really should be part of this group. It touches, brewery owners and people in the industry, women in the industry across the country. So it was something that, I really wanted to try to be a part of, to bring my experience, my education, and sort of my background, to sort of help them along. I've brewed once myself, but that is not where my expertise lies at all. So I'm learning a lot myself, and it's just really fun, and it's just really interesting. And it wasn't until I actually brewed a batch myself that you realize how much work and time and everything that goes into it. You sit down in front of that cold beer and you enjoy it, but you don't realize what goes into it until you actually do it.
No. That's what we're trying to do. Also, I'm trying to educate people. We're doing these craft beer events at hotels for corporate events. Also, craft beer weekends are putting together, like Friday night would be like a food and beer pairing. We talk about how to make beer, bring a brewer in, get his opinion. Saturday, we put them on a bus, and then we take them to different breweries. They get like live, like this is how it's made. It's not just add powder to water and boom, there's beer.
Right.
It's just a long, long process, and people educate people on it and let them taste what real beer is, right? Real beer, craft beer.
And I think the Home Brewers Association is great, proof of that. Here you've got a lot of home brewers and people that are, trying to take a stab at it themselves, which is the way a lot of people start before they launch into
That's how I started,
having their own place.
The I went from 5 gallons to 200.
Yep.
So boy. Why not, right? Why not? Just go for it. But
that's exciting.
There's another, you're co-hosting this brewery partners group. Tell me more about that.
Oh yeah, this is so cool. It's so fun. A friend of mine and a colleague by the name of Forrest Bassett works for Van West Partners here in the Denver area, and they're commercial realtors that sort of help those people like yourself when you decide you want to get out of the basement and actually get a bricks and mortar building. And he sort of helps people get into those places, works with architects, and turns it into magnificent places. There's a ton of breweries out here that I've sort of seen that happen with, that he'd been a part of. But he says, Danella, your background and what you do can really help the group. Would you come on board and kind of help me grow it and provide more value to it? So I said absolutely. So the group consists of brewery owners, brewery managers, brewers themselves, anybody that touches the brewery industry. You could be a plumber, a contractor, marketing, real estate, insurance, legal. But at some point, you're involved with the industry itself. So it is it's a great resource. So, we get together. It's super informal. We're ramping it up a little bit. Recently, we just did a sponsored one where Live Oak Bank came in and sponsored. We did it at Woods Boss Brewery, which is a great, beautiful space. And just had a collection of a whole lot of new people, too, that you're able to have conversations with different folks in all these industries. So we get together every couple months. Like I said, it's very informal. We enjoy great beer. It travels in different places, and you just every time I go to one, I meet somebody else that can help me, with a venture or a project that I'm working on for somebody. Perfect example was Landlock Ales in Lakewood is a client of mine, and they wanted they wanted like paddles for their flights. I says, well, your logo's got like a boat in it. Maybe we could do something cool with a boat. And I met a wood craftsman at one of the Brewery Partners Group meetings, and sure enough, he crafted these cute little boats that hold 4 flight glasses in them.
That's cool.
So yeah, so you meet a lot of different people that can help you out, and quite a few people from our group actually just recently did the Samuel Adams event that I'm trying to remember specifically the name of it, but it brings people together in the profession that can help folks that are thinking about, going into some type of a business in the hospitality industry. So a bunch of folks from our group volunteered for that, and they do that annually. And just, bring their different skills and talents and talk to people about everything from the legal end of it to the branding, design, all that good stuff.
But that's great. But breweries are a business, it's not just like a place to go brew beer and it's cool.
Yeah.
It's a business.
You got to keep the lights on.
There's all aspects. You got to keep the lights on. There's legal things you have to deal with,
licenses,
marketing, licenses. There's all kinds of stuff, that brewers have to deal with. And it's great to connect people. And that he made that boat, and that's going to be cool because everybody will remember, hey, let's go to that brewery. They have these cool boats that are like flights, and that just generates more sales for the brewery as well.
Yeah, and you can do different things about them. So the other thing, everybody's always looking for kind of the next cool promotion or something like that. So Light Cove Brewery is another one here in Denver area that's got great group of guys. They've got a really cool sort of an aircraft theme, and a lot of these these places are able to kind of build on that theme. They support different type of fundraising and education, groups through beer sales. Like I said, Landlocked does one big philanthropy every quarter. We just did pancreatic cancer one. So that's the other thing. These breweries are all very giving. They're all very involved in the community and wanting to give back to the community. And, at the end of the day, the business model is to be, that neighborhood taproom brewery. And that's the current model that I think, tends to work the best. It's going to help you build that loyal market. People are trying a lot of different things. There's something about, just being able to go down the street to sort of like that Cheers feel, I guess, where everybody knows your name.
Yeah, Norm.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's the best model too. Bring people in, have them drink beer in your place. That's the best margin, and it's the best model. Instead of just trying to make a whole bunch of beer that you don't know if you're going to sell and try to get a distributor and get it out there. You should do that if you're at scale and what's happening, and you can get a distributor to agree. But sometimes these distributors agree in the beginning, and then when they see the stuff not moving, they just drop it. And that causes a lot of problems, for the business. And
you bring up a good point with scaling. A lot of times everybody's very quick to go to distribution. And I don't, like I said, understand a whole lot about that, but I have talked to breweries that have, maybe kind of done that sooner than maybe they should have. A lot of times you grow too fast, and you just got to make sure that, that's like any business. That's not just breweries either. That, small business owners, you want the success, and you start to grow, which is really great. You just have to make sure that you can kind of hang on to that value proposition that I was talking about, and what makes you really good and really special, and just sort of scale your business and grow the way it makes sense to do so. So that you can stick around. A lot of times, there's been quite a few beer, it's sort of alarming, the rate of a lot of them that have closed over the years, and in the Denver area here, real estate is, I'm sure, plays a big part in that also. It's just very costly. And I think a lot of these breweries come in and sign, maybe it's a 5-year lease or whatever, and comes time for that lease to be renewed, and these property owners realize what they could be getting, and, those kind of rates go up, and it just makes it really hard. Regionally, it's different for everybody, but I know I know my rent's high. Can you imagine commercial space?
Yeah, it's brick and mortar, and everything's going like internet now, and social media, and a lot of businesses being transacted without a physical place. You have to brew beer,
right?
But you might want to think twice about spending all that capital and making some huge brewery. Maybe have somebody else make it for you and test it out.
Yeah.
I think contract brewing. Clown Shoes did that. It was ridiculous. They didn't even have a brewery. They contract brewed the whole thing, and they ended up being bought by Harpoon. They just It was crazy. They didn't even have a tap room or a brewery, but they made excellent beer. It's just that they built the brand, and then the Harpoon saw it, and they're like, all right, we want it. So they bought it.
Oh, that's a model I was not familiar with. Very interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, it's just, but they did it, you know. So, so where can like breweries or people who want to, you know, sharpen up their, their presence and branding? How can they find you?
Well, sure. Well, I'm usually sitting on a bar stool at one of the places around town. Try not to do that too often. OnTapBranding.com is the website. You can go ahead. You can find us there. And you can email me at Danella, Danella, at OnTapBranding.com. Or you can call me direct on my cell, 720-544-3760. And like I said, first thing I do is just come in and listen. It's important to sort of know what you've already done, what's working, what's not working. Like I said, look at your brand, look at your efforts that you've put so far. And, you know, a lot of times people say, you know, I just can't afford marketing. And I've been able to come in with other businesses too, not just breweries, where, I mean, I had a client that was doing direct mail pieces for like 2 years straight. And I was like, well, how's that going for you? And he goes, I have no idea. And he's just, you know.
Oh, boy, that stuff's expensive.
Yeah. And he's just trying to run his business. You know, he's trying to deal with employees and all this other stuff. So a lot of times there's different marketing and promotional efforts that are being tried that aren't necessarily, you know, being tracked because they don't have time to do that. You know, they're not quite sure how to do marketing, and they shouldn't be. They should know how to brew beer or run a yoga studio or an Italian restaurant or whatever it might be. So a lot of times I can come in and just sort of help you look through what you've already got going on. Maybe there's places to make some cuts to allow you to have money to do some of the other things that, you know, we would like to do. I'm also very fortunate to have amazing vendors that I work with over the years back from my casino days that give me smoking deals on branding. So your apparel, you know, anything you want to put your logo on, coasters, stickers, glassware. You know, a lot of times I can get setup charges waived, shipping waived. So,
wow.
You know, really like being able to help out with those sorts of things. I've saved breweries a lot of money in that regard. So they shouldn't have to be sitting on the internet Googling T-shirts. You know, that's what I'm there for. So, I mean, I'm a partner. Good. I'm just not, you know, an order taker. So, like I said, I've been working with Landlocked Ales and Liquid for over a year now. And, you know, I'm part of the team and that's what I like. And these are my friends. This is what I like. This is the place in my career where I like being right now is to that point where I can take my background and just sort of help these folks.
No, that's great.
Awesome people.
Yeah, you're offering a value to a lot of breweries.
I hope so. I hope so.
Yeah, it seems like you are, and you have experience, and you're right. I mean, you know, the brewers should brew and focus on that stuff and the employees.
Yeah.
And, you know, channel the money towards stuff that's going to create some value for them and move the needle, not just send out envelopes or mail. It's crazy expensive, man. I think it's just targeting my area within a half a mile from the brewery. It's like $500 a pop, and I'm like, it's like $500, you know. And
it's okay to do that once in a while.
I go buy grain for a batch,
you know.
Beer,
you can do it once in a while, but for this, I mean, this guy was in this program for 2 straight years. I was like, oh my gosh.
2 years,
so,
and mail too, like mail.
Yeah,
it's like, you know, nobody looks at. I don't look at mail anyway. I usually it's bad stuff that comes in mail. I never get any checks or anything. I don't know why.
Yeah, not anymore. You know, so
if I get checks, then I start looking at mail. But I don't know. Anyway, so Danella, it was great having you on, and I appreciate what you're doing. I'm glad I bumped into you, and you know, we'll keep in touch. And
that would be great.
Yeah, we'll move forward. All right, cool. Well, thanks very much again.
No, I appreciate it, and cheers to everybody out there that's, you know, trying to make it work, including yourself.
All right, thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah, that was Danella Soeka. She's the creative commander of On Tap Branding. And you need branding to have a successful product. You know, you can't just make beer and put it out there and put it like a crappy label on it. Expect people to buy it. You just got to draw them in, to the beer, and then they'll take it home. They'll try it and enjoy it, and then they'll buy more. Or getting the word out there. Branding is social media, events, right? Seems like Danella knows what she's talking about, so give her a shout. Contact her. I'll put some links in the show notes. She's at www.ontapbranding.com. And if you like what you heard, you like our show, give us a rating, give us a review, subscribe to our podcast. That's awesome on iTunes. Also, we're doing craft beer events for companies, corporate events. If you got a corporation, you want something fun for your employees, fun night, team building, team bonding night, get some beer into them. We'll give you a history of beer, explain how beer is made. We'll bring a brewer in, we'll talk about his beers. It'll be a great event, and it'll really be something that they'll enjoy and they'll remember. Don't take them to like an arcade or something. They're adults. They like beer. But contact me, Michael at craftbeerstorm.com, and let's talk about it. And we'll do that for you. We're working with hotels, try to sell their unused rooms. We're creating craft beer weekends. Friday night, food and beer pairing. Saturday, we'll put you on a bus, take you to different breweries. And it's all good stuff. And it exposes the local breweries to people that they probably don't even know about them, which is great for them, right? It exposes the hotel, the chefs, and their delicious food. And, so it's all good stuff in the world of craft beer. So that's our show for today. I hope you have a great rest of the day. We'll see you on Wednesday with Beer Styles. Take care.